So Peter Schiff, of course, I exposed his pathetic funds, right? Terrible performance. Like, Peter Schiff has proven himself to be the king of wealth destruction. Just take a look at his mutual funds, okay? Here's one we focused on because this is his gold fund. And this is actually his best performing fund. His best performing fund. Okay? Take a look. Since inception, 2013, the red is the S&P 500. It's up 200. This is just passive. This doesn't include if, you're someone like me who can forecast the markets with very high accuracy, and you can just, buy and sell the index towards the top, back into the bottom. I mean, that's going to massively increase your performance. But if you're just a passive, you don't even pay attention to the stock market at all, and you choose to spend your life more wisely, removing all financial content and media from your life, and realize that you're not going to have a chance to outperform the index unless you have a competitive advantage, which you don't, then you're just going to buy the index and enjoy your life, get more fulfillment instead of wasting a large fraction of your life on financial content. So if you're one of those people, you bought the S&P in 2013, didn't do anything, haven't paid attention, you're up by 223%. But if you're another type of person that believes all the fear-mongering bullshit because you trust the media, you think the media is promoting experts, and of course Peter Schiff is promoted by the media. They tell you that he predicted this and that, and they tell you he's got a great track record, and you know why. The media promotes a bunch of charlatans on purpose. Not just any charlatans. They got to be in the buddy system. You got it? My open discussion here, unrehearsed discussion, comes out easily. Unplanned, you know why? Because I've been doing this for 20 fucking years. Nobody knows this genre better than me. It's easy. Easy fucking pickings. And when it comes to Peter Schiff, nobody knows this fucking clown better than me when it comes to his bullshit narratives, his mythology, his bullshit terrible track record, and his all of his tactics to manipulate the markets and people. Telling people that gold is real money and the dollar's going to be worth less than Bernie Madoff's investments and all this nonsense.
The whole idea is to get out of the U.S. dollar, to get out of a currency that is on the verge of collapse. Because the people who don't get out, that just think they're playing it safe, that don't want to take any risk, so they keep their money in the dollar, they are going to be broke. They're going to be completely broke, and that is obvious. It's obvious to me that that's what's going to happen. And this is pure inflation, Latin American style. This is hyperinflation. This is Zimbabwe. This is the identical monetary policy. This is what the Weimar Republic did, and we're going to have the same result. And I am 100% convinced that anybody who has their wealth in U.S. dollars will be just as broke as the people who have their money with Madoff. It's not going to matter. It is going to be destroyed. And I don't know how much time you have. With the dollar dropping 5% a week at this point, I don't know. Could the dollar snap back a little bit? Sure, of course. But what if it keeps falling? What if it's down 5% next week and 5% the week after that? And then what if it drops 10% and another 10%? Who knows? At some point, a year or two from now, the dollar could be dropping 5% a day. The inflation rate in Zimbabwe is over 100 million% per year. I can't even calculate what that is. But you know what? It didn't start off that bad. The dollar is now sinking on its own weight, and it's going to drop like a stone. And, there's not a lot of time.
But take a look. If you were another person that believed all the horse shit that you were hearing, all the doomsday fear-mongering shit, you might have bought Peter Schiff's gold fund. And take a look. Take a look. Gold has soared fucking amazingly. Of course, I've been in front of that trade. Made a shitload of money. But take a look. If gold hadn't soared, before the beginning of the year, his fund since 2013 was down by almost 9%. Think about that. 12 years. We'll call it 11 years, 11 and a half years. His fund was down 9% negative. So if you invested in Peter Schiff's gold fund, 2013, when it was launched, 11 years later, you'd be looking at 9% loss versus the S&P 223% gain. That's at the end of 2024. Gold has soared and pushed that to 20% gains. Okay? 20%. Okay? But take a look. Still, when gold was, somebody can look it up and tell me, August 2020 gold was what, 2,200 maybe? Right? Maybe it just reached a new record high. The lockdown, it was something around there. Right? Gold today is what? Closing in on 3,300, something like that. And take a look at his gold fund. Look, take a look. His gold fund is down by 50% since August 2020. Gold is up by, I don't have the charts in front of me, so I don't know exactly, but let's call it 2,200 to 3,200. Let's say, what is that? 40% since August 2020. Right? Look, his fund, right? Where was it? His fund is down. His fund is down by 50% since that time. But gold is up by 35%. Think about that. Think about that. Now, let's go ahead and show you again as well. Let's take a look at GLD. That's the gold ETF. Take a look. Even the gold ETF is up 127%. Think about that. Actually, I mean, maybe a more comparable index with gold would be the NASDAQ in terms of risk and volatility, right? But anyway, take a look at that. GLD crushed the performance of Schiff's mutual fund, which he's begging everybody to buy. His fund, which is actually down by 50%, since August 2020, even though gold is up by 35%, right? S&P up 223%, NASDAQ up 353%. So that's just a kind of a refresher on what I was exposing Schiff on. His other funds are even much worse. You can't even beat GLD. Time to fucking wrap it up and go home. But you see, this is why, folks, Schiff spends all his time as a sales and marketing guy. That's what he is. He's not an economist. He's not an analyst. He's a sales and marketing guy because that's where he spends most of his time. He's brainwashing people. He brainwashes this cult. They don't do basic due diligence and pull up a fucking chart. They believe his horse shit. And that's, this is the danger of entering a cult. And this is why you can't talk sense to his cult members. Once you're in a cult, it's fucking over. It's virtually impossible to break out of the chains of control of a cult. So, what I wanted to point out is if you see that, take a look at the video that Schiff that I highlighted last time. I didn't know because I didn't watch the whole video, but later on I turned it on, and towards the end, it turns out that Peter Schiff tells people the ticker of his mutual fund. This gets good. He tells them, and you'll notice here, of course, as I mentioned, this is EPGFX, right? EPGFX, right? We'll take a look. He tells the viewers that they can buy his fund, and he gives them a different ticker. He gives them this ticker, and you can watch the video and see for yourself. He tells them EPGIX. Instantly, I know the deal. Instantly, I know exactly what he's doing. Without even looking at the chart, I say, okay, these are different shares of the same fund. See, what these shysters do in the financial industry, folks, this is a little trick. I mentioned this actually, if you pay attention, if you pay close attention to me, I mentioned when I exposed Jeffrey Gunlock, I showed all his fund performance, and you notice I showed he has newer funds launched, hoping to benefit, from timing. I knew Peter Schiff did this. He launched different shares of the same fund. Take a look. See this? You see this all? This is the inception. Peter Schiff launched different share class of the same mutual fund in late 2018. Why? Because his performance since 2013 was fucking terrible. So you're going to see a better performance over this time span. Do you think anyone knows this? No, they don't know this. All they know is they're checking the fund that Schiff gave them. They don't have a fucking idea. Do you think it's honest for Peter Schiff to do this? Right? No, it's not honest. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised. You see that? So I wanted to point that out. And this emphasizes, it highlights the honesty or lack thereof of Peter Schiff. Okay? Folks, you got to be careful when you're dealing with these people in the financial industry. Okay? They're all fucking used car salesmen. You might recall I pointed out, I exposed Kevin O'Leary, his fraudulent marketing with his ETFs. You might want to look at that video and see for yourself. I'm not going to go over it. Complete fraudster. It gets better. Now let's go ahead and take a look here. Let me show you. So here's his fund. Okay. Notice both tickers have the same price. Essentially, anyway. Right? See that? In fact, as you might recall, I didn't look into this. I guess it's on the fact sheet if you go into his website. But it looks like the shares are loaded, front load or back load, because I could not see an expense ratio. And, I mean, it's just shocking. Anyone who's selling front or back load shares these days, I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. It's a total scam, in my opinion, because the fees are ridiculously high. I mean, front-loaded shares are like 5%. If you buy a front-loaded share, say you're paying, say $100,000, you're paying $5,000 off the top in commission. Okay, and they're going to tell you, oh well, but your annual expense ratio is going to be really small. Yeah, that's bullshit. Not to mention the fact that all the fees in mutual funds are not disclosed. Okay, they're not disclosed. I would say probably it's similar for ETFs, although I don't know because I haven't inspected the prospectus of these ETFs, but mutual funds, I've exposed all this shit many years ago. Take a look at the top holdings, and of course, I reminded everyone he doesn't even have Newmont Mining here, in the top. I mean, come on, I think it should be the top three. I think it should be number one. I mean, he claims to focus on risk, yeah, whatever. That's a ridiculous statement. Okay, it's a ridiculous statement. You might recall I mentioned this, and I mentioned this stock, and Peter even mentioned he's in royalties. Metalla Royalty and Streaming. This is where it gets interesting, because I had exposed this fucking scam artist, E.B. Tucker, last year or 2 years ago. You see? So you can see he's got a 5% of the fund is in this. Okay, well, let's take a look at Metalla Royalty, and we'll get into the details here shortly. Top holders: Euro Pacific Asset Management. Peter Schiff likes to play the hook, line, and sinker strategy, right? Gold is going to the moon, but you can buy a lot. You can make a lot more money if you buy the gold miners, right? I already exposed that bullshit pitch, right? How he gets people into his bullshit stocks, but it gets even worse. Okay, and by the way, I encourage you all to call up Peter Schiff's firm. Okay, record the conversation. Okay, and ask some questions. Ask about the mutual fund, right? The different shares, right? Tell them the performance is shit. Say, well, I'm looking at the original fund, the original shares. Why are you pointing me to this one? That's kind of misleading. But before you do that, I want you to call them and ask them if they sell private placements, right, in gold stocks, gold companies. Okay? Here's the bet. I'm willing to bet anybody a lot of fucking money, because I know the real deal. I know the deal on Schiff. The reason why he's got this big stake in Stathis World-Leading is because he got a deal and he's in on the private placements. Okay? Now, I did a little checking on Peter. I hadn't done this before. I actually checked his registered brokers, and I may show this in a future video. A lot of them have been barred from the industry, by the way. They got barred due to business practices when they were working at Peter Schiff's firm, Euro Piece of Shit Capital. They got fucking barred, banned from the industry. Okay? Peter Schiff sells a lot of, this is folks, this is the dangerous thing. When these fucking predators, when these parasites that work at Schiff's firm, they get you, and Peter's not going to be on the hook directly. See, because he's not selling this shit. He'll get the commission from his broker that sells the bullshit private placements. But when the broker gets sued, and when the broker does something dishonest, maybe marketing deception or whatever, and I mention this because I've seen it with the FINRA statements on these people, the Peter doesn't get sanctioned. His brokers do. And they get tossed out. But Peter still collects the fees. Okay? So I believe he's pitching risky bullshit private placement deals. I'm positive. Just call up and ask, can I get private placement through these gold companies? Through Stathis World-Leading, do you have private placements? I'll guarantee, I know for a fact they do. I know the whole deal. It's, folks, I explained it before. Doug Casey, Rick Rule, Eric Sprott, Peter Schiff, Marilyn Catuzza, all the shit, they behind the scenes, they're putting people into fucking bullshit warrants for bullshit companies and private placements. Warrants and private placements, it's a different beast. You see, you can get away with a lot of bullshit. You understand? The disclosures are limited because these apply to accredited investors. You understand? Anyway, let's. I haven't even begun on the going down the fucking rabbit hole here. So you got an idea now what's going on, right? Schiff is he's the number one holder of this, what I believe to be a fucking bullshit company. In fact, I exposed it as such 3 fucking years ago, or almost 2 years ago. Okay? So let's see if we got anything else here. So let's take a look at some numbers first. Let's look at the stats. So you've got, here's the margins. Profit margin minus 93%. So think about this for a second. This is a company that basically buys the rights to gold, supposedly proven reserves. Supposedly. And I don't know the details, but it's kind of like an oil royalty, right? Oil and gas royalties. They are purchasing, they're supposed to be lower risk because they're purchasing land. They have the rights to land that has, and you have to really look at the definition of proven reserves, exactly what that means. And they have different categories of reserves, right? You have to very closely look at that. But this is what this company does basically, and they have purchase rights, right? So apparently, supposedly, there's gold in the ground. Okay, well, how come they're not producing any fucking thing when gold keeps going to new fucking record highs? Okay, maybe the company just launched. No, it's been around for fucking years. What's going on, guys? Think about it. Sounds like a fucking scam to me. Let's take a look. Operating margin, minus 51%. Okay. Revenue, just under 6 million. Okay, so let me just state something about revenues. We don't know where those revenues are from. Now, you know, this is not a U.S. listed stock, by the way. I think this is like an ADR. So the disclosures are not going to be as transparent. these guys that typically are involved in this resource bullshit, these junior miner bullshit companies, and once again, folks, you should assume all junior miners are fucking scams, until proven otherwise. That's the default premise. Now, once again, that's my judgment. I think my judgment's worth a whole hell of a lot. Okay? Considering I'm the big swinging dick in the fucking industry. So, take a look here. So revenues. Where's the revenue from? It's not necessarily from gold mining, right? It's not necessarily. There could be many ways of getting revenues. I just mentioned that, okay? Cash, 10 million. Debt, 12.5 million. Okay? So ask yourself the question, first and foremost, where the fuck are the revenues, right? This is a company with a $360 million market cap. Well, 288 million. There you go. Where's the revenues? What's going on? Can you imagine how desperate gold companies are, right? How hard they're working. Imagine how much gold has gone up over the past year, right? Versus, a decade ago and before that, when gold was fucking in the dumps doing nothing after having collapsed, 35% from the 2011 highs down for 3-4 years. Right, not doing a whole lot until really, the pandemic. Gold has moved big time over the past year. Imagine how desperate these companies are. They're willing to spend all types of money. They're going to overpay for everything, anything they can do to get gold out of the fucking ground, right? Yet these guys are doing nothing. What's that tell you? If they're not fucking producing spectacular results now, what do you think is going to happen when the gold bull market calms down? Because it will calm down. Okay? Think about it. Just something to think about. So, let's now take a look. I want to show you something. So I wrote this article. E.B. Tucker is no longer on the board of directors of this Metalla royalty company. He was the face guy pushing this bullshit company a few years ago, by the way. This is how I ran across him. I started seeing all the gold pumpers promote this guy and his royalty horse shit. And I knew a big scam, a pump and dump was in the making. Okay? So, take a look and see here. January 2023, E.B. Tucker is on the board of a climate change company, but he thinks climate change is a hoax. That's right. You can't make this shit up. Think about that. That's the type of people you're dealing with. Now, E.B. Tucker is from the Porter Stansberry, Doug Casey copy editing boiler room shit show. That's right. He's from that crowd. Why is he on the board of this company? It's a climate change royalty. Okay? He's on the board because he's the face guy. He's the stock promoter. You understand? He's the promoting guy because that's his whole career, stock promoting penny stocks. Penny stock fucking horse shit. That's what this guy does. Promotes pump and dumps and bullshit. That's his history. Look into it. Take a look. Guess what I found? When he was working with Casey Research, September, just not even 2 years before. Right? Take a look. September 27, 2019. Doug Casey and E.B. Tucker on the climate change hoax. Here we go. As longtime readers know, Doug and E.B. share the same controversial opinion. Climate change is one big hoax. I mean, think about this. I mean, you can't make this shit up. He's on the board of a climate change fucking company. What's that tell you about E.B. Tucker? He's a dishonest, money-worshipping piece of fucking shit who will do and say anything for a fucking shekel. Think about it, folks. This is the type of shit that I fucking do. Nobody in the world is fucking doing this shit. I've been doing this shit for fucking 20 years. As a hobby. As a hobby. I'm a world-class research analyst. This is a hobby, exposing fucking scammers. Doesn't pay me no money. Do I get any credit? Any support? Any thanks? I get nothing. But people throw snowballs and defame me and make up shit. Because that's what happens when you're a big swinging fucking dick who can take down the whole system. A lot of people potentially can lose their gravy train of fraud. And so they're going to try and attack you. Got another one here. I actually come out and warn people about E.B. Tucker's penny stock pump and dumps. This is what I say. I mean, it's amazing the people I could save them tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars if they knew about me and how I expose all these motherfuckers. And then you have some people that say, "Oh yeah, well you saved me," and like I get no support from them at all. They're just fucking greedy. You know, why do you think people like me don't exist? Right? Okay, you siphon my time, my expertise, my broadband, and you don't even become a member of my fucking site. Here you go. See this? I already talked about this. See why charlatans love private placements? No public disclosure. Okay? See that? I didn't even read this today. But I mentioned it earlier. Why? Because I know this. Facts don't change. Okay? And so here's the CEO of this Metalla royalty. And you'll notice these Kitco and these gold pumping channels, they always have some attractive girl with the boobs and stuff, right? Folks, that's a telltale sign of a fucking scam. Why do they need to get your attention? It's like the Ty Lopez here in my garage, my Lamborghini. Oh, girl with the boobs. I exposed that whole scam with CNBC 20 fucking years ago. Then, of course, I remind everyone about my exposure of the Facebook pump and dump. How Goldman Sachs was pumping up Facebook, and Facebook declined. It collapsed by 40% after the IPO, after Goldman pumped the fuck out of the valuation. 40% within, I think, 3 months. See that? I mean, let's be honest here, folks. When you're talking about me, you're talking about somebody on a much fucking different level. On a much fucking different level here. And I can say that. You know why? Because nobody knows about me and no one else is going to say it because they don't know about me. I know the facts. That's how somebody is measured, their credibility. Not by what the media mafia says. It's by what you've done. The goddamn results. That's a fact. And so, here's another one here. October 25th, 2023. Copywriting clown E.B. Tucker gets in on the junior mining promotion business. And I want to show you here this New Orleans investment conference. It's not an investment conference. It's a gold pumping conference. These New Orleans, see, they used to call it the hard assets, but I think they changed it to investment to make it sound like it's investments, right? But take a look at these guys. And I write about how they got the newer players into this whole fucking scam and the old guys, the incumbents, right? And I want you to take a look. Notice that they all have something in common. They all have something in common. They're all fucking related. How the motherfuck is that possible? In the theme of William Shatner, right? Oh, oops, he's related too. Right? If you take a close look at the scammers out there, every single genre, you're going to see there's a very high propensity of a certain group of parasites to be involved. This is based upon my world-class expertise in observation for the past 20 years. That's right. I've proven it with cryptocurrencies. I've proven it with precious metals. I've proven it with the capital markets. You can go and look into insurance scams, by the way. You can look into virtually any scams. So I'm not going to get into it, but one might ask, well, why is this so? Well, it might be, I think different ethnicities, different races have different propensities of different things based upon culture, maybe based upon genetics, but certainly based upon culture. You understand. For instance, some ethnicities, what's important in their culture is high education, high educational attainment, right? That's a cultural value that's rewarded in that system. Incidentally, the same ethnicity is involved in a lot of scams. Maybe because, I don't know, they worship money. Maybe because they don't have a value system that's based upon the fundamentals of the ancient Greeks, morality, right? They don't see scams as being bad. I don't know. Let me show you. So here's where it gets interesting. So I wrote this big long article. And I investigated this guy. He started out, take a look at his LinkedIn. His first job out of college, and he went to some shit school, of course. He couldn't get a job. Okay? Like these business majors, you know, the fucking useless degree. He can't get a job. Okay? So he forms a real estate company and makes it look like he's got a real company. He's a real... In reality, he's probably bought a fucking duplex, living on one side and renting out the other. Okay? Then he gets into the stock promotion business. Okay? I mean, you can just look this up. And so I just go through and talk about this company, how it's a complete shit show. Okay? And you can see it's been around for almost 10 years. And they're still not profitable, barely any revenues, and let's go through all the red flags. Apparently, I think what happened is that he was removed as a director because I think, to be honest with you, the Mr. Heath, the CEO, ran across my article. Here's another red flag. Anything on King World News. King World News is a complete 100% scam website that promotes gold pumpers, and gold mythology. It's backed by Eric Sprott. It's a complete shit show. Everything on there and everyone on there, you better believe, is a scam, is a con. Okay? Palisade Radio, same deal. I even show you here his insider trading history. You see that? Take a look. I show the pump and dump. This is another royalty he was involved in. E.B. Tucker. Files final shelf prospectus. So what they do is they pump up these stocks to the idiots out there, the stupid fucking numbskulls that watch ScamTube that think they're going to get good information. And they buy into this shit. Then they buy the stock. And then what happens is the company comes out and they'll either issue more shares, or they'll do something else to dilute the shareholders, and the stock will fucking collapse. So you said it doesn't have to be selling the shares. Oftentimes they'll just dilute the fuck out of the share price. In fact, you can see from when I wrote this article a couple of years ago, take a look. Look at the share price. 562. Okay, interesting. Let's take a look. 2023. Nope. Take a look. See what happened? They obviously issued a lot more shares. See that? Take a look at the stock chart, by the way. Okay? Take a look at that. This is the number one holding in Peter Schiff's Your Piece of Shit Capital Gold Fund. His number one holding. Okay? Maybe that could be one reason why his fund has gotten destroyed versus GLD, right? I mean, folks, the bottom line, like, I'm going to start a service. I'm going to start a service, a paid service, where people come to me and they ask about funds and they ask about advisors, and I'm going to tell them, they got to pay me, and I'm going to tell them if the advisor's full of shit, if the fund is full of shit, right? Will they be better off in a kind of a neutral fund or an index? That's what I'm going to do. But you see, nobody will come to me for that. That's not how the human mind thinks. You see? The people that are thoughtful enough, intelligent enough to even think that way are going to realize that these investments are shit. It's the dumb people that can't be helped. They're too stupid to even understand the need, right? You understand. It's a different level of stupidity. So let's take a look here to confirm the share dilution. For that, I'm going to go to the balance sheet. There you have it. Take a look at that. See that? Right after I wrote this article. You see that? This is December 31st, 2023. They nearly doubled the number of shares outstanding. See that? From 49,467,000 to 90,877,000 shares. See that? This is the type of horse shit that Peter Schiff's gold fund is invested in. His number one holding. Now, once again, I believe the real gravy train for Schiff is he's got his brokers selling private placements for this fucking bullshit company. Okay? Bullshit company. That's what it is. If you got a gold mining company that's been around, and remember, folks, this is supposed to be low risk. They market it as low risk. Oh, well, you're buying gold in the ground. That's what Schiff calls it, gold in the ground. It's already in the ground. All you got to do is mine it. That's call up. I haven't called yet. Call up his firm. Talk to one of his fucking stooges, and ask him about royalties, gold royalties. And they're gonna. I guarantee you, they're gonna say they're gonna use the term gold in the ground because Peter Schiff used that term. I guarantee it. Fucking guarantee it. Do some legwork.